What happened to Guerrilla Trading? How did they go from over 1,000 paying members, netting them over six figures profit per month, to filing for insolvency and scamming their last few members out of a couple grand? In this video, I'm hoping to show you the history, the full history of Guerrilla Trading, their highs, their lows, no pun intended, and what ultimately led to them shutting down. I was in Guerrilla Trading from 2020 to 2023, and I would say that I'm among their most successful students because I was one of the few that made it to the FDMO leaderboards, which was something we'll get into later. And the reason I say this is because I'm probably one of the most qualified people to be able to tell you about the full history of Guerrilla Trading and what led to them getting shut down. So Guerrilla Trading was started by Joshua Bunker and Dave Jason, which is already such an ironic name. If you know Only Fools and Horses, the main actor in that's called David Jason, and he's a bit of a crook. So there's your first warning sign, I guess. But I'd like to start before Guerrilla Trading was founded, with Joshua's origin story, like Marvel superhero, right? So Joshua claims that he started trading way back in 2008, just after the financial market crash. And between 2008 and when he started Guerrilla Trading in 2020, he says that he had a multiple six-figure account of profits that he had accumulated from consistently profitable trading in a broker called Alpari. And if you don't know, Alpari is a broker which ended up going bust. So he lost all of the imaginary trading profits. And the reason I say imaginary trading profits is because a common theme in Guerrilla Trading is this. The best lies told are half-truths. And there are a lot of half-truths in Guerrilla Trading. I'm very sure that Josh had money in Alpari, but I doubt it was multiple six figures. And I've no doubt Josh heard about trading in 2008 when the financial markets were crashing. But I doubt he was then trading for over 10 years because in 2018 he joined a trading community called Falcon FX. So why would you be joining a trading community after having made multiple six figures in the market, first of all, and 10 years after getting started, you know? Doesn't really make sense to me. So Josh joins Falcon FX. He likes the trading strategy. He plays around with it. He goes on their podcast. He does a talk for them, and he makes a more mechanical version of Falcon's strategy, utilizing highs and lows, and trading exclusively on the 1 hour time frame. And I think Josh must have seen the success that Mark, the founder of Falcon, had had, because within a few weeks, I don't know how soon, but he decided to start a Telegram group called JB Trading, which was pretty much just full of members from Falcon FX that he'd poached, which isn't very ethical, to be honest. So Josh went from this Telegram group in 2019 to creating Guerrilla Trading, the website and the forums, in 2020 with Dave, who basically did all of the admin, and Josh did all of the trading and the trade recaps and things like that. So now you know that origin story. They started the Telegram, then the website, poached a bunch of Falcon FX members, and all of a sudden they had over 1,000 people paying them £100 a month. And think, what are their costs, right? They've got the website hosting, maybe the accountants. So it's a business which has very big profit margins. So it's crazy that you could end up going from making multiple £100,000 per month, or over £100,000 per month, to then filing for insolvency in 2023. I mean, how do you mess that up that bad? It's a little bit embarrassing, to be honest. Not everyone came from Falcon, though. Interestingly, GT got a lot of attention from different YouTube influencers and YouTube videos. So there was Holly's FTMO interview in, I think that would have been in like 2020 or 2019. That's quite old now. And that would have got a lot of attention. I think it's still one of FTMO's most viewed videos because they just started doing interviews with traders that had received a payout from them. So GT got really lucky there. They got a lot of attention from that video. There was also Raphael Kimmel, who I think he must have had under 10,000 subscribers at the time. And there's also Hannah Forex, which a lot of people know. I think she would have had around 50, 60,000 subscribers at the time. But I think she was a bit more aware because she was in Falcon as well. So she would have been a little bit more aware of Joshua being a bit of a sketchy character because she never actually mentioned guerrilla trading in any of her videos. And that's actually where I ended up getting started. So I guess that kind of summarizes like the rise of GT, how they got to 1,000 members, which is crazy. But this was also their peak. They reached 1,000 members, and from this point in 2019, it was just a downwards curve. And I'd like to talk about now what led to them starting to die, I guess. Why did guerrilla trading start dying? The first issue was in 2020. Obviously, we had COVID, we had crazy volatile market conditions, and Holly, the FTMO trader, lost her funding. I don't think she's actually trading anymore at all, which shows that maybe it was a bit of a one-trick pony kind of strategy. And this was when I joined, as I mentioned, in 2020, towards the end of COVID. Then going into so obviously a lot of people left in 2020 because they stopped making money because the markets were so range bound, and they blamed the strategy, I guess. 2021 was a pretty good year for the strategy. There were a lot of more average setups, which ended up playing out, a lot of valid trades. I've got my notes here. And they took this opportunity, Josh and Dave, to go really aggressive on the marketing. And this is where the kind of guerrilla marketing, another ironic phrase, literally doing guerrilla marketing. So just absolutely spamming you with like an email a day about joining guerrilla trading, just completely inflating their trading results, which felt like a real shame as somebody that joined through these really kind of authentic YouTube videos I joined, you know, like Hannah and Raphael. And you kind of had to turn a blind eye, and I think a lot of people will relate to this in the guerrilla trading community. You kind of had to turn a blind eye to the awful marketing tactics and I mean blatant lies, like because we'll get more into that. Another element that kind of made the community less good, made people want to leave, was the dogmatic education. And dogmatic, that basically just means like really closed-minded, almost like a dictatorship, right? So like you do what Josh says, and anything else you'll get like barked at by you know, like team members, well, some of the team members, which is quite rough because I mean it's great as someone's just getting started because you basically just do as you're told and then you learn to trade. But like, if you are curious, you're not in the right place. So that's kind of what I mean by a dogmatic education, and that doesn't work for everyone. You want quite an open-minded community where people are collaborative and, you know, open-minded to new ideas and things. But I guess that was a bit of a warning sign for some people as well. Obviously, I'm saying a lot of bad things, but there was some good because I was in the community at that time, and I ended up staying. And the reason I stuck through all of this despite these negatives is because I really liked the strategy. It really resonated with me, and there were some people in the community which are just awesome, great people. It was one of the first things that kind of struck me, just how helpful the people in the community were. Because they're not getting paid to help me, they're helping me out of the goodness of their heart. In 2022 now, trading became a lot more conservative, or at least that's what I thought at the time. And looking back, how does Josh know that the markets are becoming more range-bound or volatile all of a sudden? Like, why has he just switched to trading like more conservatively? Because it seemed almost preemptive at the time, which I thought was a bit weird because obviously by 2022, I'd been trading the strategy for 2 years. So it's like, why is he preemptively being more conservative? And looking back, you know, maybe he was trading in the same way as he was in 2021, which was quite aggressive, taking a lot more average and valid trades. And I feel now that maybe he just didn't show all of the losing trades, you know? Maybe he was like, ah, shit, I took a loss there. You know what? I won't mention that in the recap. Nobody has to know. Because you could do that so easily, especially when you're showing trades on TradingView. But yeah, that was quite an interesting thing to notice in hindsight, because 2021 trading would not work in 2022 or 2023. If you were trading that way in 22, 23, or even 24, you'd be absolutely fucked. Like, that's the only F-bomb I'll drop in this video. So interestingly, despite, as I described, Guerrilla Trading kind of dropping off during this period, in 2023, there was a little bit of a revival of Guerrilla Trading, and you kind of got a new wave of people, like KBFX, Kyle, who made his YouTube video recently. I think he mentioned that he joined in 2023 after seeing a few traders, including myself, make the FTMO leaderboards. So FTMO leaderboards in January 2023, it was a great marketing opportunity for them, especially with the guerrilla marketing style that they used, just really aggressive and in your face and spammy. But obviously this was quite short-lived, because despite making 80% in January, the rest of the year was quite slow growth. I think between January and like the end of the year, I didn't make more than like 10-15% on top of the 80 that I had in January. So not wanting to kind of repeat the past and lose all of their new members, what did they do? Well, they started making false promises. Of course, that's what you do when you're afraid of losing your your new members, right? So Josh would talk about having a GT funding, like a prop firm kind of thing, like Falcon's fund, which is great. You know, take more ideas from them. Doing international meetups. I remember they wanted to go to Las Vegas, I think, to go to like the casinos and stuff. Yeah, maybe the Edge will work there instead. Talking about new pairs, new strategies, which did end up happening, and also new content. And this is also the time that they started transitioning into a lifetime subscription, which I thought was really weird. You know, why would you move into a one-time payment model? Didn't make sense to me at the time. Didn't make sense until the insolvency, which we'll get into. So you've got these new members now. He's kind of keeping them all in there with these false promises. So what kind of triggered the next wave of people leaving? Well, out of the blue, they closed the forums, and initially this seemed terrible. I mean, that was the only form of communication that we all had, even though it was like a 90s forum, really bad website. I mean, that's all we had to talk with the other members, which is what we're still there paying for, right? But it was actually, it seemed like something quite promising. They were going to start a Discord server, and this got me so excited because I've been a Discord user since 2015. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to offer to help them build a Discord server. Obviously didn't want my help. But interestingly, they closed this Discord server after like 2 weeks, and they never brought the forums back. So with that, they just killed the community immediately by kind of cutting off communication between everybody. So it's still a little bit unclear why they closed the Discord community. But from my understanding, it's because Dave couldn't figure out Discord moderation. He couldn't figure it out, which is really funny. I guess he's an older gentleman. Couldn't figure out Discord moderation. But the main reason, which is the second reason, is because they were really embarrassed at just how quiet it was. Nobody would be talking, and there was literally a channel which it would, you know, someone would come on and say good morning, and everyone would say good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and it would be nothing until the next day when someone else said good morning, and it would just be a chain of people saying hello and good morning and literally talking about the weather. So really cringe and really embarrassing. And I guess they just couldn't handle that. Maybe they could have done some events. Maybe they could have actually provided some value. I don't know, like in a normal Discord server, like in our Discord servers, that could have been a good idea. But no, they decided to close it completely. And they paid someone like, I think it would have been like between £1,000 and £3,000 to have that Discord server set up, despite me having offered to make probably an even better one for free. And then to have it closed within 2 weeks, I mean, it just shows their great business decision making skills, right? That was kind of the end for me, because I wasn't going to stick around if there was no community. That's the only reason I'd continued paying beyond 2020, was because the community was so great. At this point, I had my own Discord, and I also had my accountability group. So I had this for free anyway. There was not really a lot of benefit to me sticking around. Why would I continue paying? What was my subscription? I think I had the quarterly, like £200-300 every quarter. Why would I continue paying that when I've got all of the people that I'm paying for in my Discord for free and in my accountability calls every week for free? So I left at the end of 2023, just before Josh and Dave released the Bazooka, which is their brand new entry, the liquidity sweep. Interestingly, they were charging a one-time fee for this as well. It wasn't included in the subscription, which is, again, quite interesting. Didn't make sense to me why you're charging a one-time fee for this, but again, it makes a lot of sense later. So what was the problem with this? I mean, new strategy, right? It wasn't false promises after all. Well, unfortunately, there were a lot of problems. So first of all, there was the unrealistic returns and unrealistic expectations. I've actually seen the course content, and I've seen the monthly calls. Were they I think weekly or monthly calls? And I feel so bad for some of the people in there, because there are some people who are brand new to trading. They spent multiple thousands on this course, and they are praised for their completely irrelevant backtesting data. I know there's one guy, Francis, who made 8,000% compounded in 2023. And he was, I don't know why they humored it. I mean, obviously that's unrealistic. Like, I just felt so bad for the guy, because he's feeling like proud of himself. He's done really well. He feels like he's made it, but like they're fooling him. And I'm sure some of the more experienced GT traders that were on that call maybe felt a similar thing, where they were like, oh, this guy's getting fooled. Maybe I'm getting fooled too. So the second element that makes the Bazooka, that the Bazooka was bad, is the price, which is just ridiculous. I think, if I recall, this was, again, I was receiving emails about this despite having left. It was multiple thousands of pounds. I mean, apparently they even a price for some people was like 15 grand for this course, which is crazy. I think most people would have bought it for 2 grand, 3 grand, because it was discounted at that price. They were like, oh, it's 3 grand for like the next 2 weeks, and then it's going up to 6 grand. So really like GCSE marketing tactics. Very, very cringe. One thing which I have not seen anybody mention yet is that the purchase actually required a testimonial at the end of the backtesting period. So you pay, you get the course, you join the calls, you have to have done so much backtesting in preparation for each of the calls, which is, a good system, except at the end, you have to give a testimonial, and here's the kicker, you're not allowed to say that it's backtesting results. So with this, not only did they charge these people 2,000, 3,000, 5,000, even 8,000 for some people. Not only did they get this money from them, but they've also acquired like 30 video testimonials of people straight up lying. Well, they're talking about their backtesting results, but they weren't allowed to mention that they were in backtesting. which is, that's a really tricky situation to be in. And I'm sorry for anyone that had to record on those testimonials, but they're wiped from the internet now, I'm sure. I've also seen the course content, and maybe I'll put a clip here, but it is just embarrassing. I mean, the man didn't even have a recording software. It's got a watermark on the course. It's just totally unacceptable. And honestly, I could have done this in an afternoon. They have no right to be charging this much. Like, if you're gonna scam people, you can try a little bit harder, I guess, right? Maybe you have more success, but maybe this is truly the best they've got. And honestly, I don't expect much more from these middle-aged men. Another thing I noticed with the Bazooka from watching over the calls that I managed to get access to was that I think somebody once, they said, oh, I tried backtesting 2022 and it didn't work. I got 10 losses in a row, every trade lost like consecutively. And their response, obviously, you can tell the truth and say, oh, I've only actually ever tested this on 2023. Or what they did was, did we tell you to backtest 2022? No? Well, what are you doing? Stick to the plan. Do as you're told. Again, that's why this is dogmatic, right? They're literally being like dictators. It doesn't really feel like they're trying to help, because if they were trying to help, they wouldn't. It feels like they're brushing it under the carpet, that, yeah, the strategy you've created doesn't really work every year. So now we arrive nearer the present, when in April of 2024, Guerrilla Trading filed for insolvency, and they did this 8 months before telling their members. Even the team members didn't know. Well, some of the team members didn't know that Guerrilla Trading were filing for insolvency. And finally, everything makes sense. This is why they moved to the lifetime subscription. This is why they released the Bazooka, which was a really rushed and low quality product. And yeah, they just had an unpayable tax bill, which makes sense, I guess. They had peaked, and then they had slowly started dying throughout 2022 and 2021. It just shows, how can you treat trading like a business when you can't even run a business yourself? They had been spending all of their money, and they had nothing left in the account to pay off this tax bill. So what did they do? Well, their reputation was, to them, worth about 60K or whatever they got out of the Bazooka, which is just really sad. And, I mean, it's terrible for everybody that was affected, but these guys have basically just sold their souls to get out of a tax bill. Like, why not close the business, apologize, maintain your reputation, and start again like an authentic human being, right? A human being. But no, they decided, let's milk everybody that we've got. Let's do what we can with what they've got, and yeah, it's a very sad ending to this story, I'm afraid. So they deleted the website and all of their social media, although they did rebrand their Instagram to like trading and teaching or something. Very weird. And then hundreds of members are left with nothing to show for it. I mean, I hope that they can get chargeback at the very least, because undoubtedly Guerrilla Trading have basically run a rug pull here. And it sucks because during the 8 months from April 2024 to December of 2024, they know the company is going down, and they continue taking these calls. They on these calls, apparently they were making promises like, we will be able to get you funded in 8 weeks, and they were changing the price depending how much money you had in your bank account. So these were just two really desperate businessmen. And and I don't know if I can even feel sorry for them. I mean, they fucked up. So what now? You know, if you like the strategy like me, well, my Discord, the Griff Trading floor Discord, has become a little bit of a guerrilla trading refugee camp. I think they're hosting free weekly calls in there, which is great. So if you want to join my Discord, there's a link in the description. I hope that this video, is like a lighthouse. Like all of the Guerrilla Trading members, come over here. We've got our little community here. We've got the team members in there as well, because they were affected the same as you. If you do want something a little bit more structured, and I really don't want to make this like a marketing thing, we do have our own trading community called Zentum Trading with Marco and Nico. We started this at the end of 2023 because we didn't like how Guerrilla Trading was run, but we liked the strategy. And the aim of this community is to be a cooperative. That's the main focus of Zentum. We want it to be a collaborative where open-minded individuals can come together and improve the strategy, and we're open to everything. Like at the moment, I'm experimenting with ATR to have a variable stop loss. Just constantly experimenting and trying to improve the strategy, because that's what trading is all about. So there's a link to that in the description as well, but seriously, no obligation. That's not my intention with this video. So there we go. I hope you have found this video insightful. I'm really sorry if you're affected by what happened.